And I think we are live. I always just like to I always like to just check so I don't waste my guests' time. And we are live. How fantastic. So this afternoon, everybody, I'm going to tell you this little story. I've got this lovely guest, Otti Schwartz, and I'll tell you how we ended up having this interview. So, as many of you know, I spend a hell of a lot of time on Facebook, and that is where I actually find a lot of the speakers that join Essential Talent. And I saw Otti's face come up in a stream, or I don't know if it was a mutual friend or what was going on, but I thought to myself, that woman has got something. She has got some kind of X factor. And I don't know why, but I thought I'm going to reach out to her because there's something fascinating about this woman. So anyway, I got on her page. Then she had all this pro marijuana stuff. And I thought, okay, this is even more intriguing. I really want to get hold of this woman now and find out what the story is. So, me being me, I messaged her and said, "Hey, I don't want you to think I'm a creep. I'm just like, I'm here just to, there's something about you and I want to know your story." And it turns out, and seriously, I did not know this, she was on Married at First Sight, which, who has not watched Married at First Sight? And then the penny dropped. I went, okay, this is why I've made the connection here. She feels familiar because I've actually seen her on television, and here she is today, the baby face killer.
Oh Lord, that is the best.
Is that the best? Is that the best introduction ever?
Oh well.
I just love it. Okay, so that is how the babyface killer is joining us today. I think she's a fascinating person. I've only spoken to her for like 5 minutes previously, and then I said, "Hey, should we have a chat? What do you ever think about it in a couple of weeks?" She said, "Oh no, we'll do it now." So she's a person that just does things. So welcome to the show.
Appreciative. I'm really excited to be here.
So tell me, why don't we start with Married at First Sight, because that must be a fascinating experience. Tell me. Talk us through that, how you ended up on it and your experience with it and so forth.
That's deep. If we just go back to maybe why I applied.
Yeah.
I'd gone through like earth-shifting heartbreak, and not so much the person I'd lost, but what I'd thought they were. And I'd been loyal for the whole time we'd been together, and it was over 13 years, and it really took a bite. Like, I was always taught, you get back what you put out, and you don't. And so I didn't know how to honor how loyal I'd been, and how hurt I was. And so also there was lots of twists and turns to how we broke up, which is a sordid tale, but I'm going to sell it if anyone's going to hear it. And so I then thought, what's the best date that I can go on? Because I didn't want to go to coffee culture and get some weird new sexual term used on me in the toilets over a spiced pumpkin latte, because I was afraid. I was like, what do I do now? So a friend talked me into applying, and I did the most ridiculous application video I could think of.
What did you do?
Oh, no one's seen it.
Talk me through it.
Well, I just it's quite a lengthy process to apply, including psych evaluations. Go figure. And I just put like all the big parts of, like if you can summarize a person, big parts of what do you do, what school did you go to, Christchurch question. Oh, you won't know this, but there's like a standard sort of series of questions we ask everyone in Christchurch, and then we ask if they know other people, but I digress.
Okay.
So I put like my puppy, my car, myself in a bikini, my personality, and just sort of said to them my truth. And they got me out there quite quickly and kind of wanted to cast me no matter what.
Okay,
I think
cool.
a term might have been thrown around that I was crazy and I look good in a bikini, but I don't know who said that.
I love it. So,
Yeah,
carry
it was
on.
about moving on
Yes.
in a big
So
way.
you end up on the show.
Yes.
Talk us through that. What was it like?
Man, that's a hard one.
Oh,
Like probably more annoying than anything else.
really?
Yeah, like to be honest.
In
If I
what
could
way?
summarize, I wasn't emotionally hurt by anything on the show. I wasn't emotionally hurt by what people said about me, scathing at times. That doesn't seem to cut me for some reason. I don't know. When people have a wire loose, I'm glad it's that one, because if you're a loved one, I'm loyal and I really care. But if you're not, there's too many people to worry about if you start worrying about that. So I was like, perfect for the show, perfect personality, not to take it too seriously. The sanctity of marriage, no disrespect to marriages, because that's not who I am. But for me, marriage doesn't change a relationship. So for me, it was not serious vows as such or anything. There was no emotional connection to that day whatsoever. It was just a weird party in a cool dress, it seriously was.
Yeah, right.
And the annoying part, it comes from the backlash, not the public, but the police. And
Go on.
just I'm a target because I put myself out there, honestly. But the thing is, I put everything out there. So
Yeah.
I'm easy to pick on, but not very deep. Like, you can lock me up in the cells for 6 hours and raid my entire house and then give me a slap on the wrist for a $20 tinny that I use for mental health purposes, and I can say to prove it to them.
So do you want to talk about what happened on the last night of the Married at First Sight, or should we just move on from that?
Yeah, no, fine.
All right. So what did happen?
Oh man. The fun thing is I will okay, I'll move on from my thought. The last night I had gone home earlier than I wanted, even though I didn't have a connection with I was about to call him a different name, shit.
Love it.
There was no love lost or anything there, but I'd also called him out quite brutally for a couple of things I'd learned about him. On camera was bad enough, but off, shocking.
Really?
And, shocking. Like slap upside the head, shocking. And nothing I can't handle, like there's no gender divide, I don't think, between me and him anyway. So it wasn't that he was like that it wasn't, it was the stuff, like some of the stuff he said was just outrageous. And really,
I think I'm remembering this now. He was a little bit he was a bit out there, wasn't he? Now it's starting to flood back. Yeah. Wasn't he a skinny guy with tats? No.
Yes.
Was that him? Yeah,
skinny guy with tats. Yeah.
And he was quite into you, and then he was sort of like, and then he sort of retreated a little bit, didn't he? Isn't that how it worked?
Well, I made it very clear, he made himself very clear about his character without me being able to open my mouth or give my opinion yet. So I learned a lot about him that in his sort of immature boy nature thought might be cool. That just the I've had a million girls culture and that kind of stuff. And it doesn't impress me. And I told him that and some real hard truths. And then he was like, oh, I fucked up. because he'd already said too much and too much about himself. And so I knew his character, whether he was boasting or not. Why would you boast about the things that he had? That's what I thought. So I thought, okay, we have to do this out of respect to the contracts we've signed.
Yeah.
And a lot of things. So I stayed, but he was, yeah, it didn't get better.
Oh dear.
So I was like, I'll stay because I've got nothing to do at home. And they were like, no, like you will look like a crazy person. And I was like, I think I already do, but that's nice that you're looking out for my best interests. So I went home. Then I came back. That was the first time I'd seen him. He'd tried to message me, and I think written something back to him that was like a prank joke when I was quite drunk. And then I was like, oh, he hadn't responded. Then it was like a happy, oh yeah, this was after, so I won't talk about that. So then I hadn't really spoken to him. I couldn't be bothered. And I had to see him on that last night, and he turned up really drunk. Yeah, quite drunk, and spilled his drink on me.
Oh, Jesus.
And I just tried to like be patient because it's a virtue. And then, yeah, he was so rude at the table. Sit down and shut the fuck up is what he said to me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that cut me deep.
What a fucking gentleman.
Yeah, just a power and control struggle, but don't be aggressive, because at the end of the day, it's viewed as a threatening behavior if it's a larger male. Smaller woman, don't. And it's unnecessary. It's, if you can't articulate what you want to say, don't yell it. Don't yell anything.
Okay.
So I had words with him after that, and that's been that. I couldn't even see a friendship or any kind of, until he respects himself.
So it was a big night that night, and you got done drunk driving.
Yes. So actually that was, so this was actually filmed earlier. And then, of course, the finale show. So this was, everyone saw this on TV.
Yeah.
And we went as a group, because it must have been a little bit of time had passed. And so we all went as a group to celebrate having free drinks at a bar called Mama Hooch, which has been under a huge amount of, I don't even know how to I'm not going to say what it is because it's legal terms and I don't want to get it wrong. But if like, you can Google the bar, not to slander in any way, but make your own mind up.
Hooch sounds interesting.
Yeah, interesting name. And interesting bar stuff, to say the least. I'd rather talk about this off camera. And so we had free drinks that night, and they hosted us at this beautiful party as a maths, finale party. And it was a heap of fun, and some of my loved ones came, and it was great. And then I looked over and saw Monique and Gareth. Monique is another girl from the show.
Okay.
Hashing. And I was like, oh, so it was not the betrayal of the loss of them two as such, but also given I'd leaned on her quite a lot about the like really sexist and terrible things he'd said. Like I even bought her a jumper that said feminist on it to wear on TV. And then she hooked up with him, and I was just like, yuck for you. Like, you must find better dick. And him, I was like, you sleazy dickhead. Like, I know, yuck. Not my business, but yucky. And it ruined her relationship with other people on the show and me. Not I really, it's hard to explain. I don't care, but it's just then you take trust away from people if people do different things, and then they're not in your life for different things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, no contact with him since, and actually don't follow. I know of one incident that happened to him that was pretty awful, but I don't know of anything else that he's doing with his life now.
Yeah.
Less.
So how many years ago was that? Was it a couple of years ago?
2019. 18.
18. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then there was another series. Yeah.
So the thing that I found fascinating on your page was your love for marijuana. To put it bluntly, blunt.
Oh,
So
thanks,
that was a very good pun. That was a very good pun. So tell me what this is all about. When did you start smoking marijuana? And I'm fascinated by this because you're very, very open about it, and which you should be. I mean, it's sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to make some balance in my life where I don't actually, I don't care. So I was dealing with the trauma of a heartbreak, but that was toppled by me losing faith in myself, and that was because trauma from my teenage years, and then as I've uncovered childhood and all sorts, a big ramen of shit. And so that all came out, and so the best anyone could do was get the fuck away from me and give me advice that was usually quite hollow, judge me, and give me prescription medication. Alcohol I could get myself. So that combination drove me into a really deep depression, and I ended up overdosing on prescription medication and a good old bottle of red wine. And I freaked out a loved one. I really, really ruined the connection I had with that person at that moment, and recovered well, because it wasn't a goodbye world, because I probably would have got dressed, I think. I don't think I would have been in my undies, but anyway. No regrets, right? So the healthcare system is like another talk I can talk about. It's just a whole nother huge story, and where that's taken me and how it's let me down. And so when I got discharged, the loved one said to me, I want to help you manage to get well. I don't want you to go into the system. And he is white me. So I took his advice, and it was good. And then he went and took all my alcohol away and all my pills. And I think he trusted me enough to know that I'll do anything to get better. And so I took his advice, and then he supplied me with all the most beautiful weed I could ask for.
Okay.
That's the simple.
And had you smoked marijuana previous to this?
So I'd done the classic. So I'm an elder millennial. I had done the kind of smoked it in an uncomfortable kind of environment. And the first couple of times, especially given the strain of weed you smoke, will elevate your heart rate, and that gives you anxiety, you feel paranoid. Anyone feels paranoid. But if you relate that to the first time you try any substance, let's not talk about heroin, let's say alcohol. I mean, most girls down a bloody bottle of 1 liter of vodka, pass out in some park, and get fingered by some cute kid that they like at school. Like, that's the standard of the first time you drink. I guarantee if you do it safely, marijuana, you're not going to have any of that or the hangover. No one's died from marijuana.
But you were never really into marijuana in any great. This was post-show.
Post all my life, and I've been a wild teen. All my life, I could count it on my hands.
Yeah.
One hand, probably. I never felt like I had a safe space to do that, or someone to look after me if I had pissed myself or whatever was going to happen. Unknown with any unknown, needed someone to hold my hand and make.
But explain it to me. It's one thing, choosing to smoke marijuana instead of drinking, or smoking and drinking, or doing whatever floats your boat. What I'm fascinated about is, you could just quietly be like, a lot of New Zealanders out there, and have your joint and do whatever you want to do. But you have chosen to be quite vocal about it. And I'm trying to understand what's driven that.
Oh, that's just my nature always anyway. Like, I've been vocal about a termination I had, or under the guidance of everyone saying don't do that. I must say. Like, I don't come from like a reckless background where it's just me to not hide something that might help, because fuck, aren't we all hurt?
Yeah.
Like, every single one of us, and the ones that hurt people the most are the ones that are hurting the most. It's just that fucking simple. And so if we open conversations, say you haven't had a termination, so maybe you don't want to chat to me about that, maybe you do, but I'm open to talk to people that have done really wrong and are trying to reform, because everyone needs someone to talk to and someone to relate, someone to forgive. Like, there's no point if you, because there's a big part of serving time, but then after, how do you love you again? And so I would, offer to talk to rapists, even though I've been raped twice, about what they've done, what it feels like to maybe be forgiven. That would be a great thing, I think, for me to experience. And so, because I like to push the boundaries and actually feel it, because I think maybe it's the way I learn, but I think for lots of people, you don't understand what it feels like to be a refugee. It's just. And so within my monetary boundaries and social boundaries and all the rest, trying to hold my shit together while being a wild child, I want to try it all. Yeah. And then people haven't been there. I literally got a message the other day. I have them every day. But the last one was a girl that was shy about how she wanted to use marijuana, but she was a bit old now to be like, I haven't.
She was a bit old, what?
She's a bit old. She was a bit old now to be like, I haven't done it, to her mates. They'll be like, what? And so I gave her an option where she could try THC, but without smoking it. And she's not a smoker. So to like have a bong or even a joint is quite confronting, because you don't know how much you're having. You don't know what you're smoking. You might not exactly know the people that you're getting it off, because lots of marijuana comes from gangs. That's laced with meth, like that goes deeper, and that's a rabbit hole. But
yeah, that is really scary, isn't it? That is shit. That's not something you even want to try once. That just fucks up people's lives. There's just would I be right in saying that?
No judgment on anyone that does will. There's no judgment on anyone that will do it.
No.
I don't give a what you do. I care about what you're going to do today, because today's new, and you've already fucked up this morning, say. You fucked it up. You've done something shit. But how are you going to treat other people? How are you managing what you're doing bad? How bad is it? Just because you have smoked something at a drug that you couldn't even say was meth. I mean, say ice, meth, pee, speed. They're all the same thing. Crack.
Yeah.
It's all the same thing. We just label it differently in different suburbs, probably.
See, I think I said this to you earlier in our brief chat. Like, it's never. I've probably only had 5 or 6 joints in my life, and I'm 49 years of age, and it's not a drug I've really ever enjoyed. I've never had an experience where I've gone, fuck, I really enjoyed that. And so I don't go there, and I probably don't go there. There's sort of a romantic part of me that goes, every now and then, one of my favorite artists is Willie Nelson. And I always think to myself, God, it'd be good to sit down and have a joint with Willie Nelson. But I never would, because I sort of go, I've got enough shit going on in my life. I've got an addictive personality. I used to smoke a packet and a half a day, and I've made my mind up at 49. I don't want to go there. Yeah. But in saying that, and this is the interesting debate, I think, is that I also believe, and I've said this openly, when you talk openly about this, people get awfully quiet. They don't want to engage about it. And yet we've got this referendum coming up. I think people... Sorry?
I mean, we keep the referendum, we keep all voting private. So
yes.
This is just, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's not surprise me either way. No, not many liberals jump. I mean, liberals really don't, but
I'm sort of the mindset that as long as you don't hurt anybody else, especially your kids or your, whatever, you should really be able to do what you want. I really do believe that. And I think that actually this decriminalization, I think it causes more problems than it's worth, just on what I've read. If we had it controlled, I mean, you're getting stuff now where people are buying their dope and it's laced with meth. How dangerous is that? Why not go to a cafe or do whatever where it's controlled? And that's my own personal view. I know a lot of people will disagree heavily about that, but that's
But I think also if you are, if we're talking under 20s, it's, well, I mean, there's that gap between 18 and 20, but under 18 is parental guidance. And so it's the same way as parents would say you can't go into the bar.
Yeah.
It's that cafe's adult only. And same with the patrons. They'd be like ID.
Because it's not good for that young brain, is it? It's not good for those young brains developing.
If we're going to talk anything technical, I mean, I am a wealth of knowledge, but I just don't want to, because effectively the CBD in a cannabis plant is medicine. It's an anti-inflammatory, which treats stuff. Do your own research. It's the only way you learn. And so that part of it is effectively medicine, and it's a medicine that you can grow yourself and legally now. What the F is the harm? If you don't want to grow it, don't grow it. Like lots of people grow their own fucking vegetables either.
Yeah.
Like they don't. And lots of people don't go to vape stores because they don't vape. And lots of people don't go. There's a million strip bars.
But it is interesting though, and this is not, and I think this is why you agreed to have a chat with me, because I'm just not a judgmental person. I think you picked up on that fairly quickly. I'm just not that kind of person. But I do think I've got a lot of friends that I've got a lot. Sorry,
we're actually all not those kind of people. We just need to be brought to our knees first.
Yeah, that's true. I've got a lot of good friends that are sober, that I've got friends that have been on meth. And do you know what? It's those people that don't have anything now as an alcohol, marijuana, meth, anything, that seem to me to be the most content. If we're talking about contentment, isn't it the ultimate not to have marijuana or alcohol?
Oh, do you know what? Everything is escapism of some sort, like medicine. You come home from your stress job as a psychiatrist and you crack a bottle of Chardonnay and glug glug. That's fucking medicine. You want to get out of that brain, especially if you've got too much going on. Most people do. Then we're driven to try and keep up with the bills. We can't fucking afford when we slow down. I can vouch for everything I say because it's lived experience. And we want to block that out, impending death. I mean, God, you want to get dark? You're going to lose everyone you love or die first.
Jeez, that is dark.
Horrible. So let's make it fun.
Let's make it fun. But I'm enjoying this conversation. But seriously, these people that are sober and have nothing in their system at all, whether it's nicotine, caffeine, alcohol, meth, are the happiest people you can see. You can, and they are an enormous amount of fun.
I think it's really hard to that you can blanket anyone. Like, I know some people are sober and then they lapse. We'll drop the re. It doesn't need to be they lapse and they, have one day that they're somebody else and then they go back to being the sober person they are. But that means that they're both.
Yeah.
If those lapses get closer and closer together and we keep an eye on our loved ones that have substance abuse problems, no matter what that is, even if it's bad dick, because there's a lot of women that do that. It's just like an addiction, a distraction. The distraction level, so your trauma, it goes trauma, and your trauma creates pain, and the pain goes up and you get louder. And those addictions get louder. Many people go, I'm 14. I mean, can't speak for everyone. Go, I'm 14, I'm going to inject heroin tonight. It's a progression, of course, of numbing.
Do you think marijuana is a gateway drug to harder drugs?
Yes.
You do?
100%.
You do believe that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Really?
I wouldn't want my kids marijuana. No, well, I don't mind. So a gateway drug in the way that, like I said, this person wasn't underage, because I do believe in censoring and regulating and blah 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 around marijuana. You can ask me that later, but this person was of age, but also very young, and who are they going to go and buy marijuana off if they don't feel comfortable asking their parents, their family, their friends, because they feel like a dick? They don't have an older sibling. Like, who do they go to? Probably some shitty kid at school gets it off the gang. Gateway drug. And it's laced with meth. Go figure. Go figure. That's a 17-year-old brain that might get a couple of puffs of methamphetamine at any form, not knowing that they have.
So then, should we be legalizing it? Is it? I mean, if you're saying, are you saying that if we have cafes where you can just go in and buy your marijuana, that people are going to smoke marijuana and then go on to harder drugs? Is that what you're saying? No.
No, that's exactly my point.
Okay, right.
So if they can come to me, I can, hand on heart, and also be strain tested myself, and you can be strain tested after, that there will be no methamphetamine in a product that I would suggest. A product, I say product, but a strain of the plant. If I said, you can get this and it's regulated, tested, it's sent from the States, whatever you want, so that it's like a medicine rather than an illicit drug, I can in all confidence say that won't be laced with meth. But I guarantee if your children are getting their weed, where are they getting it from? Who takes the risk to grow an illegal plant and sell it? Like, come on. There's a growth in fairies going on. Bless their cotton socks. But the weed we don't know where it comes from, and we don't know what it's on, what is on it, and what it's sprayed with. We're talking about synthetics. That's paprika leaf with anything you can find in your cabinet sprayed on it. It'll give your kid a high.
So what's the rule then? What's the story at the moment with CBD oils and stuff? Is that legal?
Yeah. So the cannabis plant grows. Hemp grows, doesn't have much going on inside it. Cannabis grows, and it's got there's lots of technical terms, but let's just say you're growing agria potatoes, and they're great for roasting and mashing. But next door is growing what are they called? New potatoes, and they're awesome for cold salads. So you swap 2 different strains of a potato, and that's the same with cannabis. There's different strains, and they do different things. And so you can get strains of cannabis that have really, really low THC. So the THC part of the cannabis plant, it's like a chemical in it. That chemical gives you psychoactive properties. So that's the high that people talk about. When you're sitting on the couch and you're watching something, loop videos, and your eyes are going and you're feeling, all of that stuff is psychoactive. You can Google that and find what that will do to your body. And the other part is CBD. And CBD gives you it's an anti-inflammatory, and it treats a whole raft of scientifically backed ailments. So for me, I concentrated on what was important to me. When I got high, it helped with my anxiety and depression. And 2 different strains do 2 different things. I concentrate on those the most. And so if I want to be creative, dig in the garden, I'm making a cactus garden, or go for a run with my puppy, or any of those things, I use one. And the other is for eating chicken nuggets and blobbing out and feeling loved up. And I do that at nighttime, And otherwise, I'm in my head all fucking day, and I don't want to. No. I mean, it's really just like a sock so that I can put my shoe on and get the hell on with my day. And add a go. Yeah. So the CBD comes in a lot of different forms as well. So you have ones that are infused with, say, sleep properties or energizing. We have for pets, safe for children, regulated, low THC. So that comes from a strain of cannabis plant that doesn't have the high.
So
that's CBD.
So tell me about the story. What's the story about what you said you've had a run-in with the police? Is that so? What you got?
Yeah.
What's the story there?
I can't go into it being
Okay.
a legal matter, but I legally, I mean, the laws have now changed. So I can say, hand on heart, that the police can walk up to your home right now if they want and come in under the guise that they hear the TV and search you. And if you get caught with the amount of marijuana that they caught me with, which I can show you, I won't, but I could.
Okay. Go on.
It's probably the of your thumb.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, a bud at the size of your thumb, and that cost $20. And I'd already used some of it. So this wonderful loved one that helped me kick a habit, really bad habit, not an addiction, but a bad habit with marijuana. I didn't realize the cost. It's different if I have to buy it for myself. It comes in 20s. Whereas if this loved one was caring for me and medicating me so that I could sleep, at least eat, be cozy, love again, have sex, like, it was amazing drug. It helped a lot of things. You know, it gave me healing time so that I can then get on with my life. And then I started to explore what strains could do different things, because I did feel different smoking different weed, just from different people, not knowing what they were, and it made me curious because I want to know what I'm putting in my body. So that's where I fell in love with cannabis and wanted to pay it forward, not in the way that I want to preach it as much as I do on my Facebook, but it's more because I'm people an option to come and talk to me about meth or cannabis or sex work or whatever's ailing you, holding you back and hurting you. Talk about CBD that helps take the edge off.
So CBD won't give you a high as such.
Not at all.
No, and that's legal to buy. I could say, "Can I buy some CBD off you?" and there'd be no problem. It's my beautiful son.
No problem at all. It's not. So CBD is
an interview, a live interview.
Marijuana.
This is Ben. We're talking about marijuana.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is my son Ben. This is Ottie.
How you going?
Hi.
Okay.
Yeah, but
okay. This is live, so we better carry on. Okay. Now, where were we?
So I kind of like, I mean, this is summarizing again. Like, I don't know anyone else that wants to delve this deep into what they eat or consume or like Depo Provera. That's a really, oh man, if it's like, if the media doesn't draw attention to an issue, no one has a fuss about it. Simple.
Yeah.
Simple. The abortion reform. People are having a fuss now because the media didn't make a fuss about it when it happened. When they legalized CBD for medical use, when they legalized cannabis for medical use, didn't make the media. So, but they've made the media about, you know, how bad cannabis is, and so there's a hype about it. But no one else delves into any other medication or other plant. Do you know what's in your carrot?
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
No, that's a fair point.
I understand because it's psychoactive, it should be controlled. Like anything psychoactive should be controlled, or anything stupefying should be controlled. No driving, no kids, like simple shit. But regulate. But to 360,000 people admitted on the census that they use cannabis. I mean, that's a shit load of people that are being honest about it. So it's like, and we have no way of regulating it. I mean, sorry. So we test the waterways to work out what drugs are being used in New Zealand, and they can't test. So they can guess, but they can't test. They can with ice, but they can't, or speed, but they can't with and other things, but they can't with cannabis. So they don't know really probably how many users there are, and in different forms. Like, you think of users, you probably think of, dude, where's my car? but there's a lot of, you go looking, there's a lot of people that use cannabis in a really positive way.
Yeah. No, I can.
It's a tool.
I mean, I can relate to that. I've seen, as I said, and it's not me being judgmental, I've probably smoked 5 or 6 joints in my life, if that. Never done anything for me. But in saying that, I've seen alcohol absolutely destroy lives, destroy so many lives. It's terrible. Terrible drug.
If you want to extend that, I mean, if you look at, say, drug driving, not drink driving, if you get caught with drugs in your system, then it's labeled as a drug driver rather than a drink driver, which you could have alcohol in your system as well. And also, they don't they test for cannabis, but they tested for methamphetamine. It wouldn't be in your system. And also, when there are, it's still labeled as a drug driver, which is quite low. So like, it's kind of not a total picture if you just look at the statistics. If you want to pull it apart, you get that. Because I'd never been advocate for something I thought was bad for people. Key not slaying anyone, but I wouldn't want to push a makeup product. But as a medicine, CBD with no psychoactive properties and no hive is so safe for people. And then we start people with cancer and end of life. I mean, lock me up.
I had to put this comment on because I get comments that I can show, and this is a comment from someone on the YouTube, because we go out to YouTube as well. God, the host brings the show down.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry, Thomas. I had to share that because Thomas Metal 75. I've just decided to share that, Thomas, because I think that I'm gonna. Oh, here we go. I'm gonna put all this. Who's high? Who's drinking craft beer? Screw that. You got to live in the now. I agree with that, Thomas. Being negative sucks. Was just be positive today. I agree with all this, Thomas. So I'm sharing all your comments. Let's just be positive today. Screw being negative. And God, the host brings a showdown. You know what? I think you're right. I think I am. I think I've been too relaxed, not up enough. I think you're right, Thomas. I have no problem with those comments. I'll get rid of them now. We'll carry on with the chat about marijuana. Where were we?
Okay.
So stoked I got a comment.
You're breaking up.
Yeah, you were too, a little bit. I think we're okay now.
Hang on. No.
We have spoken for 42 minutes. You're frozen.
Are you there?
Yes, you're back now.
Hi.
I love those comments from Thomas. That just made my day. I didn't see them to begin with. It was so funny. So what's the deal with the gallery then? What's that all about? Can we talk about that?
Again,
I got to be careful.
Honestly, okay. Camera, yeah. At this stage,
yeah.
But basically, I left my job in marketing and sales. It was an amazing job, and it was awesome. I did it for 13 years, and so I've got like lots of skills I've learned from that, and about running small business and blah blah. And but I left that because it wasn't fulfilling a part of me that I really needed to like heal. And I decided to just sort of do my own research around what maybe people were reaching out for, what they needed, and how I was hurt. I needed help. I was so hurt that I needed someone else to tell me how to heal myself on my own anymore. And I thought, like, only one, because I've got a lot of blessings, a lot of privilege, holy shit. And I still felt like shit. That's just not right, you know? And then, like I said earlier, the advice I'd get was very sort of hollow, like, take care of yourself. I don't know what the fuck that means, you know? Like, I draw my eyebrows on. Is that taking care of myself? I don't know. Like, I was like, I felt like I hadn't changed, and other people thought I had, but I think I just couldn't. No one could relate to how I felt unless they'd been through tragedy or heartbreak or something that would bring them to suicide themselves. And that's when you realize you don't actually need any help or advice. You just need people that will bring you calm and treat you as normal.
So, are you happy?
And then you
heal. Are you a happy person?
Oh, I was blessed with my life, even though it was a lie, for 13 years, it was wonderful. I built with somebody that had the same goals and dreams as me. We were moving at the same pace. We had really clear boundaries about what we did and didn't want. And we let each other grow up. Meeting at 18, I felt like it would be doomed. It would be a couple of year relationship or whatever, but I'm really loyal. I learned this from my grandpa and my dad, learn to fix something. Because otherwise all these fucking broken bits out there going to the dump, or the broken bits just end up with the next broken bit. It's just stupid. So, if you're damaged, you walk it into the next relationship, whether they're good or not, period. So, we put these boundaries up, but then I found out that he'd been betraying me with a whole raft of things, but one was quite shocking to me. I've never smoked meth in my life, and I've never touched it, not even once, except for the fact that it makes up 50% of the drugs in our waterway in Christchurch. So I don't know how it's all getting in there. It must be from people snorting it by mistake, thinking it's MD or those kind of things, or smoking it with the cannabis like we were talking about. But I've never sat and smoked the drug like you see on the media with the bowl and the crystals and smoked it in the dark room with all the hooded up, scary people and shit. So I'd never done that. And my partner, my loyal, loving, best friend, partner that I traveled the world with, bought a home with, a rental, boat, jet ski, all of the mod cons, all of the keep up with the Joneses and keep your ego strong ticks. And he'd been smoking drugs behind my back and in my home for 3 years before I came. You can see why I lost confidence in myself.
You must have noticed a bit of a. Did you notice the personality change though? I had a good friend who was on meth, and that was just bloody terrible in the last sort of 6 months to a year. Heartbreaking, the personality change.
I think the substance, if we're talking about, like, when you say meth, it's like there's a human element to every drug. I'm talking about the human element of a drug. We're not talking about the chemical makeup of it. But as a drug, methamphetamine, that's we prescribe it, so it can't be. But once it starts getting cut and into the hands of people that want to make money off kids, that's when a substance gets dangerous. And if you mistreat it in the way that you don't sleep, like if you don't sleep for 2 nights, this upstairs isn't functioning properly. Don't drive. It doesn't matter if you haven't slept because of methamphetamine or because you haven't slept because of a fight with your boyfriend. Whatever it is that kept you up, please don't drive. Keep it in your home. Stay home and sleep and eat and get some nutrients. Go and tend to your cannabis plants. But a substance that is an upper as such causes problems. Too much caffeine gives you a fucking heart attack. Like, it's an upper.
I drink an enormous amount of caffeine. No, and I eat a lot of bacon. I think there was. I think you're being very judgmental about my coffee intake. I could just sense it. You're just a very judgmental person.
I swapped my coffee for instant at the start of lockdown just to see what would happen, and my body didn't even notice. Oh, I'm like preachy, truly like, wow.
I just think you're judging me because of my caffeine intake, and I didn't think you were like that. You clearly are.
What will judge me back? Judge me back. What do you?
Don't judge me back. No, I think we've spoken for 48 minutes. This is one of my longest interviews, and I'm so glad that we had this chat because I seriously, and I know that you know that I'm being legit. I couldn't make the connection when we first met that you came from Married at First Sight, and now it's actually flooding back to me that of course you were on Married at First Sight. And I'm glad that I've met you because you have these wonderful qualities about being honest. You swear, which is really, really good because I love swearing too. And you're a kind, cool person. And I want to do a lot of work with you over the next few years. I'm just so glad that I've met you because I think you're really, really, really nice person. So thanks for your time today.
Yes, appreciate it.
All right, I'll talk soon, baby killer.
Baby face killer.
Baby, sorry.
It is hard being me, so some added girls are always good, you know.
Well, thank you so much, Babyface Killer. I've really enjoyed our chat. You're really cool, and we'll get some work going as well.
Fabulous. We'll talk soon.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.